What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Life After Lockup Season 4, Episode 12. Let's start off with Marcelino and Brittany. So, Marcelino and Brittany, they are experiencing some type of a disconnect in their relationship. When Marcelino dropped off the kids at the home that Brittany was supposed to be showing to her clients, he didn't come home until about 7 hours later. So when he walks in, she asks him where have you been. He doesn't tell her where, and she asks him, "Can I see your phone?" So he willingly gives her his phone. She looks through his phone and she sees that he's been looking at pictures of naked women on his phone, which makes Brittany feel even worse because there is a distance between them. He's sort of like pulling away from her. And the fact that he would rather look at other women than have anything to do with her makes her feel, 1,000 times worse. And so she tells him exactly how she feels. She says, "I feel lonely. I feel like you don't want me. You don't touch me. You don't talk to me. There's an obvious change in our relationship. You don't appreciate me. So if you don't want to be with me and if I'm not what you want, you're more than welcome to leave." And he tells Brittany, "Well, I'm not willing to walk out on my family." So then later on, they go to therapy. And in the therapy session, they talk about Marcelino and maybe, could he possibly be struggling with being a single dad? Not a single dad. Could he possibly be struggling with being a stay at home dad? Brittany acknowledges that I understand, that his life has shifted greatly since being with me because he went from a single man of 37 years, being completely single, carefree, doing what he wanted, when he wanted, how he wanted, to all of a sudden, almost, in a very short amount of time, he had a wife, children, mortgage, dogs, and now he's a stay at home dad. He's got real responsibilities now. So she acknowledges that, which I thought was really good of her to do that. She's like, "I understand if you're struggling. I'm willing to work with you." She's willing to compromise and do whatever that needs to be done to get her marriage back on track. So there has been an obvious shift in their relationship, and Brittany's trying to figure out where and why did this happen, when did this happen, and Marcelino in his confessional basically explains it to us. He says that when they had their menage a trois with Brittany's friend, he noticed that Brittany was more into the friend than she was into him. And it made him feel some kind of way. Now, I don't know if this is like a bruised male ego type of situation where he was feeling left out in the menage a trois, where he was feeling like the girls were more into each other than they were into him, and it wasn't what he thought it would be. It did not live up to his expectations, or it did not live up to his fantasies, and so he's feeling kind of bummed out about that. Or I don't know if he saw that maybe Brittany was probably more enthusiastic about the friend than she ever was with him. He saw a different side of her that he never saw when there was just the two of them alone. I don't know exactly what it was about this menage a trois that affected Marcelino so strongly, but something happened during that incident that left him kind of broken or something. And he did say in his confessional that watching how Brittany and the friend were with one another, it broke his heart. And so, like I said, I don't know if it was something very profound that he saw in Brittany, or if it was just a bruised male ego of being left out, kind of feeling a little bit jealous or whatever during that situation. So I'm really not sure. He needs to talk about it with her. He needs to just open up, be transparent, and have a conversation with Brittany and tell her the absolute truth of how he feels, instead of harboring all of these feelings and then just acting out on it and leaving his wife completely confused about what the real issue is. So Brittany keeps talking about how, this man would light up every time I would walk into a room. You can just tell how much, he was glad that I was there, happy to see me. And that is no longer the case. The light that used to be there for her in his eyes has completely dimmed out. So she really wants to make this work. I like Brittany. I like Marcelino. I want them to make this work. I think that Marcelino probably is just feeling, I don't want to minimize anything that he may be feeling, but he's not really telling us the what's up. He's not really going into details about why he feels the way he feels, other than, the menage a trois wasn't what he expected. Brittany was more into the friend than she was with him. And who knows? Brittany could just be like, look, we were just trying to put on a show for you. Maybe that was the reason why she was more into the friend than she was into him. Who the hell knows? But we'll never know unless you have a conversation with her. And it might not be what you think it is. Like maybe she's just not into you, or maybe she's just not into men. So Marcelino, maybe in the third episode, he does have a conversation with her, which I haven't seen yet. But I feel like as far as what I saw in this episode, what Marcelino needs to do is he just needs to have a conversation with Brittany. It's not over yet, because I think that Marcelino and Brittany really have something good going there. They have it's like a real relationship. They really got something going, and they should not throw it away over, a silly menage a trois. Moving on to Kevin and Tiffany. Kevin and Tiffany, I'm tired and I'm bored with your indecisiveness. Do you want to be with this man or not? You know what he's all about? He's all about women. You know that going in. So if you feel like this man cannot commit to you, he cannot be monogamous, he cannot give you what you want, now that you've left yet again, please stay gone. Don't mess with Kevin anymore. Kevin will never change. Kayla will always be in Kevin's life, because Kevin will always want Kayla around. Kevin probably suffers from some type of insecurity, or he's too afraid to really truly be alone when he's in between relationships, and that's why he kind of keeps Kayla around. But what he's doing to Kayla is not right. It's wrong, because he knows that Kayla is fragile. She's not altogether there mentally. She keeps allowing herself to be used by him, and he knows this, and he continues to use Kayla. So that's not a man that any woman should really want to be with. Kevin has a lot of issues. And also the fact that Tiffany had seen, some women's underwear in his drawer. I'm like, girl, that's the least of your concern. Your real concern should be the fact that he's not willing to give up Kayla. He's not willing to let Kayla go. He acts like he's so bothered by her, that he's so irritated by her. Well, you can get a restraining order, and you can pursue that restraining order. You can pursue enforcing that restraining order. If she's not allowed to come anywhere near your home, and she cannot call you, text you, FaceTime you, instant message you, DM you, you can put all of that on your restraining order. And as soon as she violates it, you take it back to court. You can do that, Kevin, if you really wanted to get rid of Kayla. But you don't want to get rid of Kayla, because Kayla is your security blanket. When all else fails, Kayla is always there for whatever reason. And Kayla, being the dum-dum that she is and going through whatever she's going through, she allows herself to be that. She knows Kevin is never going to be to her what she wants him to be. She knows that. She's always going to be fighting Kevin, fighting his current girlfriend of the month, flavor of the month, and she still puts herself in a position to be used and abused by Kevin. So I think the dynamic between Kevin and Kayla is a whole lot more important than whatever underwear Tiffany found in Kevin's drawers, because who knows how long those underwear have been there. They could have been there from a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Who the hell knows? He's got so many women in and out of his life, constantly being rotated in and out of his home. Who knows who they were from, when they got there? You'll never find out, because Kevin will never be honest. What you need to be focused on, Tiffany, is yourself. And if you ever want to go back to Kevin, you need to try to figure out what are you going to do about Kevin and Kayla, because they come as a packaged deal. Moving on from that, let's get into Chance and Taylor. So Chance wants Bobby out of that damn home, and he has gone as far as trying to fix up that garage, to turn it into like a garage apartment. No, absolutely not. That apartment was awful. Absolutely terrible. It is uninhabitable. It is not fit for any live being to live there. Not for a person, not for an animal, not for a bug, not for anything. Nothing that's living should be in that garage. The only thing that should be permitted to go into that garage is a damn car, because that was awful. No one can live there. And I don't see how he's going to, and he may, these shows have a way of surprising us. He may turn it into like a livable situation. But before Bobby decides to fully move in there, when it's so-called ready, I need Bobby to get an inspector, or like a housing inspector or something like that, to come in and inspect that damn garage before she decides to move in there permanently. The fact that they're willing to put her in a garage like that when it's not ready, when it's not livable, is beyond me. And for Tyler to like be okay with that. Now that first, after he showed her what it looked like, Bobby decided to sleep there for the very first for her first night. She wanted to sleep in there. And if I was Tyler, I would have told her, no, Bobby, you cannot sleep in here. We don't know what kind of condition this place is really in. We don't know. You just, no, absolutely not. That place was not inhabitable. Tyler, how can you let this happen to your sister? Your home, that was your sister's home as well. Before Chance came into the picture, you and your sister shared a home together. Now, it makes sense to you, Tyler, to kick your sister out of her home and to move into the garage. That makes sense to you? It's just sad. Bobby, I need you to speak up more for yourself. I need you to get a backbone. I need you to stand your damn ground. You need to let these people know I was here before Chance. It's not me that needs to move out. It's Chance that needs to make it work with all three of us in here, or Chance can move his family out on his own to a home or an apartment that he can purchase on his own. And that's how it's going to be. So the fact that Bobby is willing to live in that garage, I think it's just sad, pathetic, pitiful, unacceptable. I wouldn't do that to my sister. I wouldn't do that to my damn dog. So, no, that's not, whatever he's done is not good enough. And like I said, once it's so-called complete, Bobby, get you an inspector to make sure that the electrical, the plumbing, that all that stuff is up to par. Because so far from what I see, that place is uninhabitable. Moving on to Deontay and Lindsay. Lindsay, when are you going to decide to be a mom? When are you going to make the conscious decision to mother your daughter? Just like you made the conscious decision to send some friend of yours $800 to bail him out of jail when that money could have gone to your daughter. Lindsay, to me, she kind of walks around with this like, she's just spoiled. Lindsay is just spoiled. The people around Lindsay have allowed Lindsay to do whatever the hell she wants to do. She's never really had to be held to any kind of accountability other than with the law. The law is the only thing that makes Lindsay accountable. But for the other parts of her life, she gets away scot-free. No pun intended. So she meets up with her daughter and her mom, but she meets with her daughter first. The dynamic between Lindsay and her daughter is not even like a mother-daughter type of situation. It's like, two friends, or like she's meeting up with her little sister. There's no, to her, I don't know if she just wants to be like the fun time mom all the time. Like every time she's with her daughter, it's always just, oh, let's just giggle and laugh and talk, and then it's over, and then she disappears again. It's like there's nothing about it that's serious or deep. And I don't know how her daughter, maybe her daughter she just wants her mom. And so she'll just take her mom in any capacity, even if her mom is going to act like some giggly, giddy teenager. She'll accept her in that form because she just wants to be around her mom, and she just wants her mom to be happy. And constantly feeding your child, fairy tales of, well, your mom is struggling, mommy's going through a hard time, mommy's trying to get it together. We need to stop that, because the reality of it is that, Lindsay, you make poor decisions. You make extremely poor decisions. Like, for example, when you decided to send money to your friend to bail them out of jail, instead of sending that money to your daughter or doing something with that money to help you get closer to your daughter, to help you get closer to the point where you are actually living with your daughter full time and are able to create a home for her. I mean, you're still her mom, you're still her parent, but she was so focused on bailing her friend out, focused on Deontay, focused on Scott when she was fooling around with Scott, just focused on everything except finally becoming a mom to her daughter. And her daughter has grown a lot. And Lindsay comments on that. She's like, oh my God, she's gotten so big. You're missing out on some serious life moments with your child. Every time you see your daughter, she's completely different because you're gone for so long, because you have very poor decision making skills. So she sits down talking to her daughter, and she tells her daughter about Deontay. And I'm like, why? Why are you telling your daughter about, your new your new victim. Why are you telling your daughter about your current victim? Why? What does that have to do with your daughter? So she's like, oh, I met somebody and I have a new boyfriend. Da, da, da. And the daughter's like, well, I hope that, he doesn't look like Scott. And so she shows her daughter a picture of Deontay. For what? For what? Are y'all going to get married? Hell no. Is this going to be her new stepdaddy? Hell no. This is just your next trick. Why are you showing pictures of Deontay to your daughter? Why are you talking about your daughter? Why are you talking about Deontay to your daughter? This is a guy that you're just going to be using for money. This is not a relationship. This is nothing like that. This is just your next trick. This has got nothing to do with your daughter. So after she deals with her daughter, she talks to her mom. And her mom is like, look, if you're asking for forgiveness, you need to ask for forgiveness from God, then your daughter, and then me. The mom is over it. The mom is completely over Lindsay and her antics because Lindsay will never stop being Lindsay. As long as nobody holds her, I wouldn't have done it. To tell you the truth, if I was the mother, I would not have driven anywhere to go meet Lindsay for her to see her child. No way, no how. I wouldn't have done it because I get tired of doing that. You meet up with your daughter, you drive however many hours, however many miles to go meet up with Lindsay so she can spend a couple of minutes with her daughter, and then Lindsay's back doing the stuff that she always does to get her back in prison. I wouldn't have done it. I would not have done it. Absolutely not. What's the point? If you're not going to be a mom to your kid, what's the point of these infrequent encounters with your child? Deontay, he is driving 12 hours straight. He says he's not going to make any stops, no overnight stays anywhere, straight nonstop, 12-hour drive to his baby love, Lindsay. And we'll see how that works out. Moving on to Sean and Sarah. Sarah, what do you see in Sean? What the hell do you see in Sean? Sean is a pathological liar. The truth is not in him. You couldn't pay Sean to tell the truth about anything. The truth is not in that man. He lives for lies. He lives for being sneaky, underhanded, shady, dishonest. That's the name of the game for Sean. So Sean really wants his kids to come to this damn wedding. And the only way for the kids to come to the wedding is if Kelly is there as well. Sarah tells him no, she does not want Kelly at her wedding because obviously Kelly is not going to be supportive of this. So why should she be there? And obviously, she doesn't want Kelly to possibly have an opportunity to ruin the wedding. So then we see Kelly talking to Sean on the phone, and Sean is telling her, look, I really want my kids there. And Kelly's like, no, I'm not going to let you use my children so that you can look like some fantastic father who really wants his children to be a part of his wedding. I'm not going to let that happen. So then he tells her, well, you can come. If you have to come for the kids to come, then, you can come to the wedding as well. So he's basically giving her or throwing her an invitation. And then he says, Sarah's really going to be mad when she finds out that I've invited Kelly to my wedding. But didn't Sarah already know that for the kids to come, Kelly would have to come? And she said no to that. So what do you mean when Sarah finds out? Sarah already knew because y'all had a conversation about that. And maybe he's talking about the fact that he specifically invited Sarah, he specifically invited Kelly to come. Like he told her, you can come to my wedding. I'm allowing you to come to my wedding. When she finds that out, it doesn't even matter. None of this even really matters because at the end of the day, Sarah, what do you see in Sean? What do you see in him? Then Kelly asks Sean for $500. He says, well, I'll see what I can do. He ends up sending her the money. I don't know exactly how much it was, but he ends up sending her the money anyway. And for her to, it doesn't even matter because this whole situation with Sean and Sarah and Kelly is just ridiculous. And then Sarah's going to have to find out about Destiny. Destiny's out. Destiny's thinking about crashing the wedding. So it's just ridiculous. Sarah, you could do so much better. Let me move on from that nonsense. Next, we have Chaz and Branwyn. So Bronwyn is with her ex, Aaron, and they're having a conversation about Chaz. And first of all, Aaron, he first apologizes to Bronwyn. He tells her, look, I was a horrible boyfriend when we were together. I should have treated you better. He acknowledges that he was bad. He was horrible. In his confessional, he says that, Bronwyn could have been the one. He will always have feelings for her, but he messed it up. So now she's going to be moving on with this, guy named Chaz. So her daughter calls her and she has a conversation with her daughter about her moving to Kentucky. Her daughter says it's a good thing for her to move to Kentucky, to start fresh, away from all of her triggers. So Bronwyn then asks her daughter, well, what do you think about Chaz? And I think Arian never responded because we all know what Arian thinks about Chaz, and we all know what Bronwyn really thinks about Chaz. Um, Chaz is just a meal ticket for Bronwyn. Obviously, do I even need to explain? He's just a meal ticket for her, an opportunity for her to try to change her life, get back on her feet or whatever the hell she's trying to do, and he's going to foot the bill for all of that. That's all this is. I'm pretty sure within a year or so, Bronwyn will be right back in Portland without Chaz. Chaz is going to be visiting Bronwyn in Portland, and he's obviously excited about it, and she's scared to death because she knows that when he shows up in Portland, he's going to be expecting to be physical with her because they're married. That's his wife. So she's already like going through getting herself already pumped up to put on her act on why she cannot be physical with her husband. The last time they tried to be physical, she hyperventilated. The girl nearly passed the hell out because she claims that she's never been physical with anyone without being high. And she doesn't know how to do that. It's just like foreign to her to be intimate with someone without being high. Now, I'm pretty sure that if it was Aaron that wanted to be with her, or if it was someone that she was more physically attracted to, she would not be using that as an excuse at all. She'd be getting down high, not high, sober, not sober. It'll be going down either way, all the way. But with Chaz, there's all of these barriers and restrictions and walls. I can't do this because at some point, sweetheart, you're going to have to pay the piper. At some point, you're going to have to put out for your husband. So do what you got to do to make it happen because it's going to, or how about this? How about getting a divorce or annulling the marriage and not using him? Being more honest with Chaz, because Bronwyn, we can see it, your family sees it, your friends see it. I don't know why Chaz don't see it. You're not into this guy. You are just not. Why don't you just wait until you can run into someone that's going to be the full package for you? Why are you rushing to start this new life in Kentucky with a man that you have little interest in, zero interest in? You've been trying to force feelings. You've been trying to force yourself to see something in him that's going to strike up an attraction, and it's absolutely failing. It's not working. So Bronwyn, you can still move on. It's going to be difficult to break the news to him, but he'll get over it. He's been married 5 times. It ain't nothing for him to get a woman. You're not going to be the last woman that he's going to have an encounter with. So just break it off. Let's just move on and stop playing these games. Moving on to Puppy and Amber. Out of all the stories this season, Puppy and Amber is the one that I'm interested in the least. I have zero interest in Puppy and Amber. So Amber's parents are having a commitment ceremony. They were together many moons ago. They were married. And then when Amber was 1 year old, they got a divorce, went their separate ways. Now, 34 years later, her parents have reconnected. They're back together again, and they're having a commitment ceremony. And it was very important for Amber to be at this commitment ceremony because it was really important for Puppy to be at this commitment ceremony because Puppy, Amber, and Amber's mom, Monica, were all locked up together. So they all have a very close bond. So Puppy does show up. She shows up extremely late, but she does show up with her boyfriend, Eric. Eric, who is, currently married to someone else, but supposedly separated and dating Puppy. So Puppy says that she's been waiting very patiently for Eric to get a divorce. She's talking to one of their former cellmates and friend. What is that woman's name? Did I write it down? it was an African American woman that she was having a conversation with. And Puppy's telling her that, yes, he's married, but he's separated and we're supposed to be getting married. And their friend is like, yeah, girl, I don't think it's going to be happening. Because these men normally don't leave their wives. So you need to be really, really careful. So basically, this is the situation. Puppy is involved with Eric. Eric is very wishy-washy about Puppy. All of her friends are concerned about Puppy. They don't want her to get her heart broken. They're very protective of Puppy. They don't like Eric because they feel like, he's probably going to end up leaving her. Maybe he's going to go back to his wife. Who knows? Whatever. But they don't see this turning out in Puppy's favor. So everybody's very concerned about Puppy. Eric ends up leaving her at the party because he doesn't want to be around her friends who don't see it for him. He says that Puppy is very influenced by her friends. When her friends start asking her questions about him, she starts asking him questions about their relationship, and he doesn't like that. For whatever reason, he doesn't like that. I don't know if this man is into Puppy or not. I don't know if this man is going to be going back to his wife or not. Who knows? What I do know is let's stop coddling Puppy for her wrong decisions. Puppy made a decision to be with someone who was not available to really be with because he's still married to someone else. So Puppy went into this willingly, knowingly. If she didn't know in the beginning, she knew at some point that this man was still married to somebody else, and she's sitting around waiting for him to get a divorce so that they can get married to one another. Wrong decision. You would think that people who are so street savvy, who know how to make a whole bunch of money on the streets, can survive on the streets, can survive in prison, you would think that they would have a little bit more common sense when it came to the most simplest of things, such as don't get involved with someone who is still married to someone else. It don't matter how long they've been separated. If you've been separated that long and you're over your wife, why haven't you gotten a divorce? So the fact that everybody's like, oh, we're going to protect Puppy. We're here for Puppy. We're not going to let this man hurt Puppy. I'm not on that bandwagon because I'm like, Puppy did this to herself. With all the men out there and evidently all the women, Puppy could have chosen someone who wasn't already committed to somebody else. I don't care if they're separated, not separated, legally separated, casually separate, whatever the situation is. If you're waiting for him to get a divorce, this is not the situation for you, Puppy. Point blank, period. So we'll see how all of that nonsense works out. That is my review. Way too long for this nonsense. The only thing that I really care about is Marcelino and Brittany, and I'm really rooting for them, and I want them to work out. I need Marcelino to open up his mouth and start talking about his feelings and letting Brittany know exactly what's going on so they can attempt to fix their problems. I don't care about Kevin and Tiffany. Chance and Taylor, that's absolutely ridiculous that you're going to put Bobby in a living environment like that. Deontay and Lindsay, that's ridiculousness. Puppy and Amber, I have no idea what's going on with that. Sean and Sarah, complete ridiculousness. Thank you so much for joining me in this review. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, please subscribe. If you don't like it, don't worry about it. Thank you for stopping by anyway, and I'll talk to you later.